Hello, my name is Kira. Welcome to my channel here on www.youtube.com. Today we're going to be discussing the dreaded pocket debate, or lack thereof, in women's clothing. If you are a woman who wears clothes, I know, controversial, then you might know the discussion all too well. This is more of a summary of the history and by no means the full history of all pockets to have ever existed. So welcome to my Spark Notes version. Let me set the scene. Summer 2022. I am at the gym. And because I am a Princess Diana stan, I'm wearing biker shorts. Because biker shorts are very comfortable and amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Anyway, I normally have two pockets in these biker shorts. One on each side. Because that would make sense. I normally have my phone in one side and my AirPods case in the other. It's a great system. But on this day, all my normal biker shorts were dirty. And I had to get my other pair of biker shorts that didn't have any shorts. And let me tell you, it was such a pain just like not having to carry my phone and then my AirPods case and my water bottle and then put it next to me on the machine on the ground. And it was very first world problems. It definitely made me appreciate just how much I love and find useful pockets are on my athletic wear clothing. And I'm just not carrying around a purse to the gym to just carry everything. Also, these are my work pants. I have normal pockets here on the side, and they're just about enough to carry my iPhone 12 mini. And I mean, yeah, it does its job. It's fine and everything. But then you go back here, these back pockets, non-existent. Why? What if I want to put my phone back there to get pickpocketed? Come on. So, when you Google, why do women's clothing just not have pockets? What comes up on the little box, at the top of Google, it says, pockets could mess up with the line of a dress or garment, especially if they are filled with stuff. Filled with stuff? Oh my God. The whole purpose of pockets. So, this sent me into a deep dive on the history of women's pockets. During the Middle Ages, both men and women had pouches that were slung from a rope from their waist. Their pouches had these slits so that they could easily access their pouch. I'm emphasizing both men and women here, and you've probably seen these at Renaissance fairs if you're a theater kid. Hello, my fellow theater kids. Hi. In the 17th century, the pocket was born. These pouches were then sewed right into people's clothes. This was very beneficial because you could hide as well as keep valuables close to your body. Only for men, though. And because, they just had so many valuables. Women still relied on a separate pocket that laid underneath their petticoats. Now, these pouches were about 40 centimeters long and by 30 centimeters wide. And now, because I'm American, I had to look that up in inches because we do not use the metric system, even though the rest of the world does. So it's about 15 inches by 12 inches. So bringing back to the petticoat thing, according to Verve, she said, the average 17th century woman wore a petticoat and 2 layers of undergarments. Her pocket would be tied around her waist in between her underpetticoat and petticoat. As you can see from this picture from the Victoria and Albert Museum, this shows how the tie-on pocket was worn. But this is like a deconstructed petticoat. Not the whole thing. You can imagine with a full petticoat, it doesn't exactly have easy access. But you see, if you're rich and not a working poor person, there will be no need to have an easily accessible pouch with your tools for your everyday job. So if you're rich or traveling, you can keep your valuables close and hidden to you. But if you're part of the working class, then you would probably have to just wear it under your apron. During the 1790s, figure-hugging dresses came much more into fashion. She has a figure? No! Because you couldn't hide your tie-on pockets anymore in your fake hips, women would use these small decorative handbags called reticules. I'm not 100% sure if that's right because I put it in Google and it came up with a different word. So, yeah, but it's reticules. I'll put up the spelling here. I was in the special reading class, so reading is not my strong suit. And I know what you're probably thinking. Why not just have, pockets now? That's a great question, actually. It's money. That was it. Women had no money or property, so why would they need pockets? Don't worry. You see, the husbands carried all the money, and that definitely didn't trap women into unhappy, unfulfilled, and possibly abusive relationships in which they could not leave because they had no financial standings. I actually found a fun fact during the Revolutionary War. Sorry, French Revolution. Sorry, I'm just so American focused with my identity. They were not allowed any internal or external pockets because, they could hide revolutionary material, which I'm just speculating. But if they made that law, French women were definitely probably already doing that. So, slave revolutionary girlies. In 1881, the Rational Dress Society was founded in London. I didn't even know the Rational Dress Society existed. Their role was to fight for more functional clothing for women. And I know you're like, yeah, I was like heavy and inconvenient, but at least she looks snatched. The president of the Rational Dress Society, Viscountess Haberton, I like that. I'm sorry, it's probably wrong. Wrote a pamphlet called Reasons for Reform in Dress. She believed that anything truly beautiful was in accord with nature and questioned how far current women's clothing conformed to that rule. A woman's waist was naturally broad and flat, but dresses were designed to set off a round waist, sloping in like the letter V from under the arms. She was not here for these unrealistic and dangerous beauty standards. After all, these dresses were dangerous. Women were getting hurt literally trying to walk, run, get on and off in trains. And also, these skirts and dresses were physically heavy. Women had to use twice as much energy as men to literally just walk. More proof that women have to work twice as hard as men to get the same credit. Not to mention, corsets literally displaced internal organs and made it hard to breathe. The pamphlet states, I'm gonna say this in a British accent because, she's British. And also I studied abroad in London for 2.5 weeks. So, I'm going to be right in saying this. It's going to be very accurate. As if you're in London yourself. Would it not be wiser were all classes to combine to devise and adopt a dress which was both pretty and convenient? Our present dress sins against art. It sins against health. And it sins against utility. Couldn't have said it better myself. Viscountess Haberton advocated for some form of the divided skirt. Okay, back to the pockets. During the 20th century, women were fed up. Instruction manuals on how to sew pockets into dresses were created. They DIY'd that shit. And then World War I happened. Across Europe, if you were working, you wore trousers, tunics, and turbans. But in the U.S. and high society, they were still wearing dresses, just shorter and less confining. You gotta remember, it's still the early 20th century. It's also during the war. They have to conserve stuff, Then boom, World War II happens. Society is changing. Men are at war. Again. All these jobs are empty. Women and then, of course, naturally have to take these jobs. But you can't be wearing dresses in factories. Rosie the Riveter said, no way. Trousers. Women are wearing pants now. Like out in public. What is happening? Being practical? Who would have thought? And I can guarantee you these women were putting their hands in their pockets and being like, oh, this is so nice and like convenient. I can put my stuff in it. Then the war ended and men were like, what are you doing? In a factory? Working? Making your own paycheck? Get back back in the house. So femininity took the forefront for women's fashion. Gotta look girly while being forced to be a housewife. But in the new age of fashion, dresses got slimmer and therefore the handbag industry skyrocketed. On this whole, because there wasn't pockets, the handbag industry grew debate, the Victoria and Albert Museum mentions how the tie-on pocket and bag industry are actually complementary and not competing. The tie-on pockets were used until the end of the 1800s. They served different purposes. For tie-on pockets, you would put valuables, jewelry, cash, and keys. And if you weren't a working woman, you'd also put a housewife in them. That's actually a sewing kit. I learned that. You learn something new every day, that terminology. And the safest place for something, you put in a tie-on pocket and you put it actually underneath your pillow and you would sleep with it. Makes sense. It's super close to you. No one's going to reach under your pillow. Unless they're a really cool robber, I guess. That's not a scared robber. That robber is not scared. That's gutsy. But it is undoubtable that the death of the tie-on pocket and no pockets on women's clothing led to the rise of the handbag industry, because where gonna put all your shit if you're a woman? Also I have to say, like, our hands have evolved to just carry all this shit. Like, today I went in the store and I didn't want to bring my purse, so I carried my wallet, my keys, and my phone all like in one hand. So yeah, it really is. Women are evolving still to this day. I, of course, could not talk about pockets without talking about fast fashion. Another reason why women's clothing lacks pockets is because the first thing to go when cutting costs in fast fashion is pockets. Think about it. Shein, who produces over 10,000 new pieces daily, knows you're not going to wear their pants for a lifetime. They know they're not made for practicality or longevity. It's for fashion that's probably going to be thrown out, or if just fall apart in the next couple washes anyway. Absolute shit quality that Shein clothes are made out of is just, and the fact that they're filling up thrift stores now too, that's for a video for another time. Maybe you should subscribe. On the whole, fashion standpoint in the 2000s, with those jeans that
crawled up from the depths of hell themselves,
low-rise jeans, you literally couldn't have pockets. Where were you going to put pockets on them, huh? Where were they going to start, huh? Or were you magically going to fit your BlackBerry in your almost non-existent pocket in the front, huh? No. Looks bad. But who needs pockets when you got a handbag, right? Definitely now in the 2010s and 2020s, there is more equality in pockets, I feel, for more practical clothing. Think athletic wear, high-waisted jeans. But we are still nowhere near men's standards. Have you seen those TikToks about those women who literally just put stuff in men's pockets? They'll take men's pair of pants and just put stuff in the pockets because they're so freaking big and they're so practical and you put everything in there. So there has been some improvement, but ultra fast fashion and is just yanking them away with trying to cut cost. Literally yanking the pockets. Well, actually just never creating them in the first part, because why would they? They want to keep it as cheap as possible and then not pay their workers. And you can get pants for $2. I think a good summary of why women lack pockets in clothes can be summarized by Hannah Carlson, who wrote the book Pockets: An Intimate History of How We Keep Things Close, who said, "Evident in the decisions that go into making some garments is the notion that men's clothes are meant for utility and women's for beauty." The history of pockets and why women's clothing lack pockets to this day is because of a sexist history. Women in the past had limited social and economic contributions. Men carried the money around, literally and metaphorically. Why would we need big pockets if we didn't carry the power? Elizabeth Cady Stanton was an American writer and activist, and she passed away in 1902, so this happened a while back. But she went to a dressmaker and pleaded for her dress to include pockets, and her dressmaker said that the pockets would bulge her out just awful. God forbid her dress bulges out while she's carrying things in her pockets. No, what? As long as our dresses are pretty. That's all that matters, right? I think our new age of pockets has really shown us how far we've come, but this is a reminder of how much of history we really haven't had economic power. I know you're probably just like, it's pockets, it's not everything. But it really is everything. It's what it represents. Like, women in the US have only had the ability to have their own credit under their own name since 1974. 1974. Put that in perspective. My mom, when she was born, even though obviously she was a child, she did not have that right to have her own credit under her own name. What kind of insanity is that? And it's a good reminder of just how much more women need to progress to catch up with men. So ladies, if you have to sew your own pockets like women in the 1900s did, do it. I don't know what that metaphor was, but I hope you liked it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.